Hello, everybody. Buddy with Midland, Texas. I saw something interesting on my Facebook this morning. Nino America, he's one of our famous YouTubers here. Posted lots of material so far at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Trump shakes hand with Mike Pence. Pence's wife doesn't even acknowledge Trump. Obama does not shake Trump or Melania's hand, but shakes everyone else's hands. Bush walks right past the Trumps, then slaps Obama in the stomach and shakes hands with everyone else. Obama and Trump having lots of laughs. The Clinton walk in and ignore Bush, Obama, and Trump. What's going on here? I made some comments on it. You're going to find this interesting. My first comment was George Bush was POTUS when it's believed that the previous owner of my home, Mike Lawhon, was murdered here, and I was told that the secret underground home in the backyard, where the oil show parties were said to be held, were put in for the Bushes. In fact, I was told about 4 previous murder deaths at this house. Here's a recent TikTok I did where I wrote, President George Bush is a landman from Midland, Texas, and I was told there were 4 secret bunkers in 1987 with a budget on permit for $7.35 million. This is where the oil show parties were held, and as seen on old Google Maps, one of them is located in my backyard. I want to show you this right here. There's George Bush, of course, and here you can see my home, and I was shot right here by somebody under my home. The secret bunker that's in the backyard, there was a tunnel going here, and there's the Midland Home Depot store. I'll show you the next one. My next comment, I moved to Midland on November 6, 2008, and that was the day that Obama got elected. I was shot by somebody under my home with the phone lines cut and burglar alarms going off in the attic on January 28, 2012 after reporting multiple burglaries at my home to the Midland Police Department. Biden was vice president during this home invasion and premeditated capital attempted murder. Let me show you the picture I did here. Okay. This is me crawling out on the night of the murder attempt, and I was shot with my phone lines cut. That's why I crawled out. And at the emergency room at the hospital, it was documented by the nurse here, 1127, that I was saying the alarms kept going off. The burglar alarms kept going off. Burglar alarms were going off my attic over and over and again when I was shot. Here's the next one. In 2019, I met Homeland Security agent Paul Cervantes at the Midland Home Depot store, and I showed them where I believed a tunnel was located going from that store to my home and used for the many crimes and murders here. 2 weeks later, the ground was dug up and concrete was poured. I'm going to show you. This is a text message between me and Paul Cervantes on the day that I met them at Homeland Security. And what he wrote me right here, that's July 2nd, 2019. And he was rude. Just, buddy, let's get something real clear. I was not trying to talk you into selling your home today. I simply asked you why you wouldn't consider selling your home if you continue to feel threatened there. And I believe that was a violation of the Hobbs Act. It was trying to terrorize me into selling my property while under the threat of death. And here's my next 2 pictures. I showed Homeland where this tunnel was cut coming out of the back of Home Depot, aimed directly out of my house, and there's the secret bunker in my backyard. And 2 weeks later, after I showed them, they dug up the ground and poured concrete there. A human trafficking murder tunnel. Here's where it gets real interesting. Interestingly, Paul had an emergency come up that day, and at the same time, Pence had an emergency and had to fly back to Washington. I've suspected that the emergency was concerning how to cover up the multiple crimes and murders connected with my home and the oil show parties. Vice President Mike Pence had been in Midland a couple of months earlier on April 17, 2019 and met with leaders of oil companies here. It makes sense that those oil company leaders don't want anybody to find out about the secret underground oil show parties, which are said to be connected with crimes and murders. I've wondered if they offered Pence a donation or bribe for his help in covering them up. On August 15, 2019, I posted a story on my Facebook called Artesia Suspects, which was based on a phone call that I recorded where a lady told me about somebody in Artesia, New Mexico that was connected with the underground homes here. That same day, I saw a news story saying that Mike Pence was traveling to the tiny town of Artesia, New Mexico. I'm going to show you that. Okay. On the left-hand side, dated August 15th, was Artesia, New Mexico Suspects. And that included that video where that lady told me about Artesia. And then on the same day, August 15th, Vice President Mike Pence is scheduled to go to Artesia, New Mexico. It's a little tiny town in New Mexico. What a coinky dinky. The wealthiest man in New Mexico was Mac Chase, who owned Marbob Oil Company, and he lived in Artesia, New Mexico. He sold this to Concho Energy in Midland, Texas in 2010 for $1.65 billion. I've wondered if Pence had traveled to Artesia to meet with Mac Chase about the underground homes in Midland. I don't know who it was. Chase died in October 2023. Let me show you this one. Okay. Marbob sold for $1.65 million. Midland, Texas-based oil company Concho continued its conquest of the Pecos Valley oil, acquiring Artesia's Marbob Energy Corporation for $1.65 billion. And it goes on, the Concho was bought by ConocoPhillips in 2021 for $9.7 billion. I hired on with Phillips in 1983, and my company, DCP Midstream, who I've worked for when I was shot by somebody in my home with the phone lines cut, was owned by ConocoPhillips. I had reported 5 coworkers to my supervisor in 2011 because I believed they knew who was breaking into my home. Let me show you this one. ConocoPhillips acquires Concho, creates Permian Giant. ConocoPhillips recently completed the acquisition of Conoco Resources. Last October, it has announced a deal to buy Concho in an all-stock transaction valued at $9.7 billion. I now believe those coworkers that I'd reported my supervisor in 2011 knew this because of the underground oil show parties happening in Midland, and one of those 4 underground homes is located in my backyard. After I survived the murder attempt, I was placed on long-term disability, and those coworkers were laid off. This included Dane Wiggins, the supervisor of DCP Midstream that I'd reported those coworkers to. And as I said, DCP is owned by ConocoPhillips. Here's another TikTok I recently did. I said, I told the city of Midland that there were multiple people documented who have said that underground homes are here, and supporting evidence was found on Google. A week later, it was deleted from Google Maps. Okay, one of those person was Tish Ann Wilkinson Brumley. She says, I've had friends been involved in those oil show parties. They're exactly what you say. They are in underground homes. And Jessica says, I've been about 2,000 oil show parties. There's more than one girl that was murdered or AR'd because she didn't do whatever they wanted her to do. I got a feeling them oil companies don't want anybody to find out about them underground homes where the oil show parties were going on. And one of the underground homes is in my backyard. This was found on Google Maps before I told the city about it, and then it was deleted. You can see it on the map screen, but you can't see it from the satellite screen from above ground. That's because it's underground, and I'm right behind the Home Depot store. I recently contacted the nonprofit group called Border 911 and told them this story, as I've suspected the nationwide people in the attic crimes may be connected with the millions of immigrants who were allowed to sneak into our country from the border of Mexico. I asked them to get this information to Tom Homan, Kash Patel, and President Trump. Okay, and I have the email showing where I sent it. Okay, here. This was just a Google search. ABC News. Trump-backed charity Border 911 may be breaking the law. An ABC News examination of the Trump-backed charity Border 911 has raised question over whether it's violated the rules prohibiting intervention in a political campaign. Okay, and so here's the next one. Border Crisis, Border 911. At Border 911, we are deeply committed to addressing the pressing issue of the southern border crisis. With an open southern border, our country and citizens face, etc. And then the last one was right from Border 911.com. The About says Border 911 is a team of former border officials and experts who aim to educate and mobilize Americans on the dangers of illegal immigration and the need for border security. A few days after I wrote Border 911, I saw a Facebook account called Real Mr. Tom Homan, so I sent him this message. This account is now gone, but thankfully I have a print screen showing it was there and that I'd contacted him. Trump has said that he was making Homan the border czar who was going to carry out mass deportations. I want him to be aware of the people in the attic crimes going on nationwide, which I've suspected was connected with 11 million people who have sneaked into our country from the southern border. Okay, and I'm going to show you the print screen on that. Here it is. This was the account that you can't find anymore, the real Tom Homeland. And it looked legit to me. And you can see that I wrote him. I saw on your Facebook, in my People You May Know list, which told me that you were looking at my Facebook, which you should be. In fact, I had plans on contacting you. And I copied and pasted the message that I sent to Border 911. I thought y'all'd find that real interesting about the presidents of the United States and what's going on. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.